Welcome to In this documentary, From Smoke to Solutions, Tackling Pollution for a Sustainable Future. God Almighty said, "Do not corrupt the earth after it has been set right." Pollution is a silent invader, affecting every corner of our planet. It's in the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the land we depend on for food and shelter. But while its impact can feel overwhelming, this documentary is here to inspire action and offer hope. Through this journey, we will uncover the origins of pollution, explore the devastating effects it has on our environment and health, and spotlight the innovative solutions that are paving the way for a cleaner, more sustainable future. From the smog-laden streets of bustling cities to the quiet resilience of nature's recovery, this story is about more than just the problem. It's about the power of change. Join us as we meet scientists, activists, and everyday heroes who are turning the tide against pollution. Together, we'll learn how small actions and bold innovations can lead to a brighter, healthier world for generations to come. The time to act is now. Let's begin this journey from smoke to solutions. The pollution is one of the most pervasive challenges facing humanity today. From smog-choked cities to oceans filled with plastic, the consequences of unchecked pollution are devastating for both the planet and its inhabitants. It affects the air we breathe, the water we drink, the soil we cultivate, and the ecosystems we depend upon. Beyond the environmental damage, pollution poses serious threats to human health, causing millions of premature deaths annually and exacerbating the climate crisis. However, the story of pollution isn't just about destruction, it's also about the potential for change. Across the globe, individuals, communities, and governments are stepping up with innovative solutions to combat pollution and restore balance to our environment. From transitioning to renewable energy and reducing single-use plastics, to implementing stricter regulations and embracing sustainable practices, the fight against pollution offers a pathway to a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future. This article explores the multifaceted problem of pollution, its far-reaching impacts, and the actionable solutions that can transform smoke-filled skies and waste-ridden landscapes into thriving ecosystems. It's time to shift from smoke to solutions and tackle pollution head-on for the sake of future generations. The hidden impact of factories. How industrial pollution affects our planet. Industrial factories have been a cornerstone of modern civilization, powering economies and driving technological progress. However, beneath their contributions to societal advancement lies a less visible but profoundly damaging impact on our environment. Industrial pollution, encompassing air, water, and soil contamination, has emerged as one of the leading causes of environmental degradation, threatening ecosystems, human health, and the planet's overall sustainability. This article delves into the hidden impacts of factory pollution, explores its root causes, highlights its effects, and suggests solutions to mitigate the damage. The scope of industrial pollution. Industrial pollution refers to the release of harmful substances into the environment due to manufacturing, production, and processing activities. Factories emit pollutants at every stage of their operations, from raw material extraction to waste disposal. The primary types of pollution caused by factories include 1. Air pollution. Factories release greenhouse gases, GHGs, such as carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane, as well as other toxic emissions like sulfur dioxide, SO2, nitrogen oxides, NOx, and particulate matter, PM. These pollutants contribute to global warming, acid rain, and respiratory health issues. 2. Water pollution. Industrial facilities discharge pollutants such as heavy metals, chemicals, and untreated wastewater into rivers, lakes, and oceans. This contamination affects aquatic ecosystems, disrupts marine life, and compromises water quality for human consumption. 3. Soil pollution. Improper disposal of industrial waste, including hazardous chemicals and non-biodegradable materials, leads to soil degradation. This contamination reduces agricultural productivity and poses risks to food security. 4. Noise pollution. Factory operations generate significant noise pollution, which affects both human populations and wildlife. Chronic exposure to high noise levels can lead to hearing loss, stress, and behavioral changes in animals. 2. The root causes of industrial pollution. To understand the hidden impacts of factories, it is essential to examine the underlying causes of industrial pollution. These include 1. Dependence on fossil fuels. Factories rely heavily on coal, oil, and natural gas for energy, leading to significant emissions of GHGs and other pollutants. The lack of a shift toward renewable energy exacerbates the problem. 2. Inefficient processes. Outdated and inefficient manufacturing processes consume more resources and generate more waste than necessary. Poor maintenance and lack of technological upgrades further contribute to pollution. 3. Inadequate waste management. Many factories lack proper waste disposal systems, resulting in the release of untreated or poorly treated waste into the environment. Hazardous waste often finds its way into water bodies and landfills. 4. Weak regulatory frameworks. In some regions, lenient environmental regulations and lack of enforcement allow factories to operate without accountability for their emissions and waste. 5. Rapid industrialization. Developing countries often prioritize economic growth over environmental protection, leading to unchecked industrial expansion and significant pollution. 3. The effects of industrial pollution. Industrial pollution has far-reaching consequences, impacting ecosystems, human health, and global climate patterns. The following sections outline its primary effects. 1. Environmental impacts. Climate change. Factories are major contributors to GHG emissions, driving global warming and causing extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and melting ice caps. Biodiversity loss. Pollution from factories destroys habitats, poisons wildlife, and disrupts ecosystems. Species extinction rates are accelerating as a result of industrial activities. Ocean dead zones. Industrial runoff containing fertilizers and chemicals creates oxygen-depleted zones in oceans, killing marine life and disrupting fisheries. 2. Human health impacts. Respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Air pollution from factories increases the prevalence of asthma, bronchitis, heart attacks, and strokes. Toxic exposure. Contaminated water and food expose humans to heavy metals and carcinogens, leading to long-term health problems such as cancer and developmental disorders. Noise-induced stress. Prolonged exposure to industrial noise contributes to mental health issues, including stress, anxiety, and sleep disturbances. 3. Economic impacts. Healthcare costs. The health effects of pollution impose significant financial burdens on healthcare systems and individuals. Loss of productivity. Pollution-related illnesses and degraded natural resources reduce labor productivity and economic output. Damage to tourism, polluted environments. Deter tourism, affecting local economies dependent on natural attractions. 4. Case studies of industrial pollution. The Great Smog of London, 1952, coal-burning factories and power plants contributed to a deadly smog that claimed thousands of lives. This event highlighted the urgent need for air quality regulations. Minamata disease, Japan, 1956. Industrial mercury discharge into Minamata Bay caused severe neurological disorders in the local population, underscoring the dangers of water pollution. Bhopal gas tragedy, India, 1984. A gas leak from a pesticide plant exposed the devastating effects of inadequate safety measures in industrial operations. 5. Solutions to mitigate industrial pollution. Addressing the hidden impacts of factories requires a multi-pronged approach involving governments, industries, and individuals. The following strategies offer a pathway to mitigating industrial pollution. Transition to clean energy. Factories should adopt renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Implementing energy-efficient technologies can further lower emissions. Adoption of sustainable practices. Industries must invest in cleaner production methods and adopt circular economy principles such as recycling and reusing materials. Advanced filtration and treatment systems can minimize pollutant release. Stricter regulations and enforcement. Governments should implement and enforce stringent environmental standards for factories. Incentives for compliance and penalties for violations can drive change. Public awareness and corporate responsibility. Educating the public about industrial pollution and its effects can inspire consumer demand for sustainable products. Companies should prioritize environmental responsibility and transparency in their operations. Technological innovations. Research and development in pollution-controlled technologies such as carbon capture and storage, CCS, can significantly reduce emissions. Smart manufacturing techniques, leveraging automation and AI, can optimize resource use and minimize waste. s.a.r.l, the path forward. The hidden impacts of factories on our planet are both profound and complex. However, with concerted efforts, it is possible to mitigate the damage and transition toward a more sustainable future. Collaboration between governments, industries, and communities is essential to achieving this goal. By prioritizing clean energy, sustainable practices, and innovation, we can reduce the environmental footprint of factories and safeguard the planet for future generations. The responsibility lies with all of us to act now and ensure that industrial progress does not come at the expense of environmental health. Conclusion. Factories have undeniably fueled human progress, but their hidden impacts on the environment demand urgent attention. Industrial pollution, a byproduct of economic development, poses significant threats to ecosystems, public health, and global sustainability. By acknowledging these challenges and implementing effective solutions, we can balance industrial growth with environmental stewardship. The journey toward a cleaner, healthier planet begins with understanding the hidden costs of factory operations and committing to meaningful change. Engines and emissions, the role of transportation in environmental pollution. Transportation is the backbone of modern society, connecting people, goods, and services across the globe. However, it is also a major contributor to environmental pollution, particularly through the emissions generated by internal combustion engines, ICs. This article examines the relationship between transportation, engines, and environmental pollution, exploring how different modes of transportation impact the planet and what solutions are emerging to mitigate these effects. Section 1. The scope of transportation emissions. 1. The contribution of transportation to global pollution, greenhouse gas emissions. Transportation accounts for approximately 14–16% of global greenhouse gas emissions, primarily from CO2. Air quality impacts. Vehicles emit pollutants such as nitrogen oxides, NOx, particulate matter, PM, and carbon monoxide, CO, which degrade air quality and harm health. Energy consumption. The transportation sector is heavily reliant on fossil fuels, accounting for nearly 60% of global oil demand. 2 major pollutants from engines: carbon dioxide, CO2, the primary greenhouse gas emitted from burning fossil fuels; nitrogen oxides, NOx, produced by high-temperature combustion, contributing to smog and respiratory issues. Particulate matter, PM, tiny particles that penetrate deep into the lungs, causing health problems. Volatile organic compounds, VOCs, contribute to ground-level ozone formation and smog. Section 2. The role of different modes of transportation. 1. Road transport, light-duty vehicles, cars and motorcycles, a significant source of CO2 and air pollutants due to their prevalence. Heavy-duty vehicles, trucks and buses, emit higher levels of NOx and PM due to larger engines and higher fuel consumption. 2. Aviation, carbon footprint. Airplanes emit CO2, NOx and water vapor, which contribute to global warming and the formation of contrails. High-altitude impacts. Emissions at cruising altitude have a magnified warming effect due to interactions with the atmosphere. 3. Maritime shipping, sulfur oxides, SOx. Ships burning heavy fuel oils are a significant source of SOx, impacting marine ecosystems and air quality. Carbon emissions. Maritime shipping contributes roughly 3% of global CO2 emissions. 4. Rail transport, diesel trains, emit CO2 and NOx, but are more efficient per ton-mile than road transport. Electric trains, depending on the energy source, they can be near zero emission. Section 3. Environmental and health impacts. 1. Climate change, global warming. Transportation emissions contribute significantly to the rising levels of atmospheric CO2, leading to climate change. Extreme weather events. Increased emissions exacerbate the frequency and intensity of extreme weather. 2. Human health, respiratory issues. Pollutants like NOx and PM are linked to asthma, bronchitis, and other respiratory conditions. Premature deaths. According to the WHO, air pollution contributes to millions of premature deaths annually. 3. Ecosystem damage, acid rain. Emissions of NOx and SOx lead to acid rain, harming forests, lakes, and soil. Biodiversity loss, habitat destruction, and pollution from transportation infrastructure impact wildlife. Section 4. Mitigation strategies. 1. Transition to cleaner technologies, electric vehicles, EVs. Zero-emission alternatives powered by batteries or hydrogen fuel cells. Hybrid vehicles reduce emissions by combining internal combustion engines with electric motors. Alternative fuels, biofuels, compressed natural gas, CNG, and synthetic fuels. 2. Policy and regulation emissions. Standards. Governments enforce limits on vehicle emissions to reduce pollution. Carbon pricing. Taxes or cap-and-trade systems incentivize lower emissions. Low-emission zones, urban areas restrict access to high-polluting vehicles. 3. Infrastructure development, public transportation, investments in buses, trains and subways reduce reliance on private vehicles. Bike and pedestrian lanes encourage non-motorized, zero-emission travel. Charging stations. Expanding EV charging networks accelerates adoption. 4. Renewable energy integration. Green grids. Transitioning electricity production to renewable sources makes electric transportation cleaner. Solar and wind-powered transportation, integrating renewable energy into charging and fueling infrastructure. Section 5. Future trends in sustainable transportation. 1. Autonomous electric vehicles. Self-driving electric cars promise efficiency improvements and reduced emissions through optimized driving patterns. 2. Hydrogen-powered transport. Hydrogen fuel cells offer zero-emission solutions for heavy-duty and long-haul vehicles. 3. Electrification of aviation and shipping. Efforts are underway to develop electric planes and hybrid ships powered by renewable energy. 4. Smart mobility solutions. Integrated transportation systems using AI and IoT can reduce congestion and emissions. Conclusion. Transportation is a vital yet significant contributor to environmental pollution. The transition to cleaner technologies, coupled with policy interventions and sustainable practices, is essential for mitigating its impact. By embracing innovations like electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles and investing in renewable energy, we can pave the way for a cleaner, more sustainable transportation future. Gas and petrol. Unveiling the environmental cost of fossil fuels introduction. Gas and petrol, the lifeblood of modern transportation and industry, have fueled economic growth and technological progress for over a century. However, this reliance on fossil fuels comes at a steep environmental cost. From greenhouse gas emissions to air and water pollution, the extraction, processing, and consumption of gas and petrol significantly impact the planet. This article explores the environmental consequences of fossil fuels, focusing on their role in climate change, pollution, and ecosystem degradation, while discussing the urgent need for a transition to sustainable energy solutions. Section 1. Understanding fossil fuels. 1. What are fossil fuels? Definition: fossil fuels like gas, natural gas, and petrol, gasoline, are hydrocarbon-based energy sources formed from ancient organic matter over millions of years. Primary uses: powering vehicles, generating electricity, and providing heat for homes and industries. 2. The life cycle of fossil fuels: extraction, drilling and hydraulic fracking to access reserves. Processing: refining crude oil into petrol and treating natural gas. Consumption: burning fossil fuels releases energy but also harmful byproducts. Section 2. Environmental costs of gas and petrol. 1. Greenhouse gas emissions, carbon dioxide, CO2. Burning petrol and gas is a leading cause of CO2 emissions, contributing to global warming. Methane, CH4. Natural gas, primarily composed of methane, has a global warming potential 25 times higher than CO2 over 100 years. 2. Air pollution. Particulate matter, PM. Emitted during combustion, these fine particles harm respiratory and cardiovascular health. Nitrogen oxides, NOx, contribute to smog and acid rain, impacting air quality and ecosystems. Volatile organic compounds, VOCs, released during fuel storage and use, forming ground-level ozone. 3. Water pollution. Oil spills. Leaks during transportation or drilling contaminate marine and freshwater ecosystems. Fracking chemicals. Hydraulic fracturing uses chemicals that can seep into groundwater, harming aquatic life and human health. 4. Habitat and ecosystem destruction. Land use, oil and gas extraction disrupts habitats, leading to deforestation and biodiversity loss. Marine impact. Offshore drilling affects marine ecosystems, displacing or endangering species. 5. Resource depletion. Fossil fuels are finite, and their continued extraction leads to diminishing reserves, requiring more invasive and energy-intensive methods. Section 3. Human health impacts. 1. Respiratory diseases. Exposure to air pollutants from burning petrol and gas causes asthma, bronchitis, and other lung conditions. 2. Cardiovascular issues. Fine particulate matter, PM2.5, from fossil fuel combustion is linked to heart attacks and strokes. 3. Long-term risks. Chronic exposure to fossil fuel emissions increases the risk of cancer and neurological disorders. Section 4. Economic and social implications. 1. Economic dependence. Many countries rely on oil and gas revenues, creating vulnerabilities to price fluctuations and market instability. 2. Environmental cleanup costs. Cleaning up oil spills, addressing air pollution, and mitigating climate change require billions in public and private funds. 3. Social inequities. Low-income communities near refineries and extraction sites face disproportionate health and environmental risks. Shocking facts about pollution and its effect on your health. 1. Air pollution causes 7 million deaths annually. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, air pollution is linked to 7 million premature deaths worldwide every year. Particulate matter, PM2.5, and toxic gases like nitrogen dioxide, NO2, contribute to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. 2. Pollution reduces life expectancy by over 2 years. Studies reveal that air pollution cuts global life expectancy by an average of 2.3 years, In heavily polluted areas, the impact can be even more severe, exceeding reductions caused by smoking or infectious diseases. 3. Indoor pollution kills 3.2 million people. Each year, indoor air pollution from cooking with solid fuels like wood, coal, and dung is a leading cause of death in developing countries. It is linked to respiratory infections, lung diseases, and heart conditions, disproportionately affecting women and children. 4. Water pollution harms 1 billion people annually. Contaminated water kills more people globally than all forms of violence combined, including war. Poor sanitation and industrial waste contribute to waterborne diseases like cholera, diarrhea, and dysentery. 5. Noise pollution can lead to heart attacks. Prolonged exposure to high noise levels, such as traffic and industrial sounds, is associated with increased risks of hypertension, stress, sleep disturbances, and even heart attacks. 6. Microplastics are found in human blood. Recent studies have discovered microplastics in human blood, indicating that we ingest these tiny particles through food, water, and even air. Long-term health effects are still being studied, but concerns include inflammation and cellular damage. 7. Air pollution harms cognitive development in children. Exposure to air pollution during pregnancy and early childhood is linked to developmental delays, reduced IQ, and an increased risk of neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD and autism. 8. Over 90% of the world breathes polluted air. The WHO estimates that 9 out of 10 people globally are exposed to unsafe air quality levels. Urban areas in developing nations often exceed air quality guidelines by significant margins. 9. Pollution increases cancer risk. Carcinogens like benzene found in polluted air and water elevate the risk of developing cancers such as leukemia and lung cancer. Long-term exposure to industrial and vehicular emissions also contributes to rising cancer cases. 10. Toxic pollution affects mental health. Emerging research links air pollution to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even dementia. Pollutants may affect brain chemistry and exacerbate mental health conditions over time. Conclusion: pollution is not just an environmental crisis, it's a pressing health emergency. From causing chronic diseases to reducing life expectancy, its impacts are far-reaching. Taking action to reduce pollution through cleaner energy, stricter regulations, and personal lifestyle changes can protect both our health and the planet's future. From smoke to solutions, tackling pollution for a sustainable future. Introduction: pollution is one of the most pressing global challenges threatening ecosystems, public health, and economies. Whether it's smog in the skies, plastics in the oceans, or toxins in the soil, the pervasive effects of pollution are undeniable. However, with innovation, policy changes, and community action, solutions to mitigate and reverse pollution are within reach. This article delves into the causes and impacts of pollution and explores actionable solutions to pave the way for a sustainable future. Section 1. The many faces of pollution. Air pollution. Causes: combustion of fossil fuels, industrial emissions, and agricultural activities. Impacts: linked to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, reduced agricultural yields, and global warming. 2. Water pollution. Causes: industrial discharge, agricultural runoff, and plastic waste. Impacts: contaminates drinking water, disrupts aquatic ecosystems, and endangers marine life. 3. Soil pollution. Causes: use of pesticides, landfill leakage, and heavy metals from mining. Impacts: reduces soil fertility, contaminates crops, and affects food security. 4. Noise and light pollution. Causes: urbanization, transportation, and industrial activities. Impacts: affects wildlife behavior, disrupts sleep patterns, and increases stress levels in humans. Section 2. The global impact of pollution. 1. Health consequences. Pollution is a leading cause of premature deaths, with 7 million annually attributed to air pollution alone. Waterborne diseases like cholera and dysentery claim lives in regions with poor sanitation. 2. Climate change. Greenhouse gases, GHGs, from burning fossil fuels, trap heat, causing global warming. Pollution contributes to extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and habitat loss. 3. Economic costs. Pollution costs the global economy trillions annually in healthcare, lost productivity, and environmental cleanup. Reduced crop yields and fishery losses affect food supply chains and livelihoods. 4. Ecosystem degradation. Plastic pollution in oceans kills marine life and disrupts food chains. Soil contamination reduces biodiversity, affecting plants, insects, and microorganisms. Section 3. Innovative solutions to combat pollution. 1. Transition to renewable energy, solar and wind. Power, clean alternatives to fossil fuels, reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Hydrogen fuel cells, zero-emission solutions for transportation and industry. 2. Circular economy, recycling and reuse, reduces waste generation and minimizes resource extraction. Sustainable packaging, replacing single-use plastics with biodegradable materials. 3. Pollution control technologies, air purification systems, remove particulates and harmful gases from urban air. Wastewater treatment plants, clean industrial and domestic water before release. 4. Policy interventions, carbon taxes, discourage fossil fuel use and fund renewable energy projects. Bans and regulations restrict the use of harmful substances like microplastics and ozone-depleting chemicals. Green infrastructure. Encourage urban planning that includes green roofs, parks and wetlands. 5. Behavioral changes, reducing single-use plastics and adopting sustainable practices at an individual level, supporting local and organic farming to decrease reliance on harmful agricultural practices. Section 4. Global Success Stories. 1. Clean air initiatives in China. Stricter emission standards and investments in renewable energy have significantly improved air quality in major cities like Beijing. 2. Ocean cleanup projects. Technologies like the Ocean Cleanup System have removed tons of plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. 3. Renewable energy leadership in Scandinavia. Countries like Sweden and Denmark have nearly eliminated coal power and led in wind energy adoption. 4. Community-led waste management in India. Grassroots efforts in cities like Pune have implemented effective recycling and waste segregation programs. Section 5. The Path Forward. 1. Innovation and collaboration. Governments, industries, and communities must work together to develop and implement sustainable technologies. Investment in research for carbon capture, waste reduction, and renewable energy is crucial. 2. Education and advocacy. Public awareness campaigns can shift behaviors toward environmentally friendly practices. Educational programs in schools can instill a sense of environmental stewardship in future generations. 3. Holistic policies. Policies addressing pollution should align with climate goals and social equity, ensuring that vulnerable populations are protected. 4. Long-term commitment. Sustainable change requires ongoing effort, monitoring, and adaptation to emerging challenges. Conclusion. From air and water to soil and noise, pollution impacts every aspect of life on Earth. However, humanity has the tools, technology, and knowledge to tackle these challenges. By transitioning to clean energy, embracing a circular economy, and fostering global cooperation, we can turn the tide against pollution and build a sustainable future. The path from smoke to solutions is clear. It's time to take action for the health of our planet and all who call it home. Shocking facts about pollution and its effect on your health. 1. Air pollution causes 7 million deaths annually According to the World Health Organization, WHO, air pollution is linked to 7 million premature deaths worldwide every year. Particulate matter, PM2.5, and toxic gases like nitrogen dioxide, NO2, contribute to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. 2. Pollution reduces life expectancy by over 2 years. Studies reveal that air pollution cuts global life expectancy by an average of 2.3 years. In heavily polluted areas, the impact can be even more severe, exceeding reductions caused by smoking or infectious diseases. 3. Indoor pollution kills 3.2 million people. Each year, indoor air pollution from cooking with solid fuels like wood, coal, and dung is a leading cause of death in developing countries. It is linked to respiratory infections, lung diseases, and heart conditions, disproportionately affecting women and children. 4. Water pollution harms 1 billion people annually. Contaminated water kills more people globally than all forms of violence combined, including war. Poor sanitation and industrial waste contribute to waterborne diseases like cholera, diarrhea, and dysentery. 5. Noise pollution can lead to heart attacks. Prolonged exposure to high noise levels, such as traffic and industrial sounds, is associated with increased risks of hypertension, stress, sleep disturbances, and even heart attacks. 6. Microplastics are found in human blood. Recent studies have discovered microplastics in human blood, indicating that we ingest these tiny particles through food, water, and even air. Long-term health effects are still being studied, but concerns include inflammation and cellular damage. 6. Microplastics are found in human blood. Recent studies have discovered microplastics in human blood, indicating that we ingest these tiny particles through food, water, and even air. Long-term health effects are still being studied, but concerns include inflammation and cellular damage. 7. Over 90% of the world breathes polluted air. The WHO estimates that 9 out of 10 people globally are exposed to unsafe air quality levels. Urban areas in developing nations often exceed air quality guidelines by significant margins. 8. Pollution increases cancer. Risk carcinogens like benzene, found in polluted air and water, elevate the risk of developing cancers such as leukemia and lung cancer. Long-term exposure to industrial and vehicular emissions also contributes to rising cancer cases. 9. Toxic pollution affects mental health. Emerging research links air pollution to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even dementia. Pollutants may affect brain chemistry and exacerbate mental health conditions over time. Conclusion: pollution is not just an environmental crisis, it's a pressing health emergency. From causing chronic diseases to reducing life expectancy, its impacts are far-reaching. Taking action to reduce pollution through cleaner energy, stricter regulations, and personal lifestyle changes can protect both our health and the planet's future. As we come to the end of this journey exploring the hidden impact of factories on our planet, it's clear that our actions today will shape the world of tomorrow. Each of us has the power to make a difference, whether it's by advocating for cleaner energy, supporting sustainable industries, or simply spreading awareness about the challenges we face. Together, we can create a future where progress and environmental responsibility go hand in hand. If you found this documentary insightful, don't let the message stop here. Subscribe to Power Energy for more content that empowers you with knowledge about energy and sustainability. Share this film with your friends, family, and community, because the more we understand, the more we can work together to protect our planet. Thank you for watching, and remember, change starts with awareness, but it grows with action.